Last weekend, we vended the Charlotte Repticon in February of 2024. And combined with the last couple of months of online sales, some of our friends experience in other local shows, and realistically, kind of the general vibe from across the country in a very, very small anecdotal sample size.
What was nice to see is that the line was wrapped around the door.
The Sunday show was another very, very good show. The reports of the death of the market, highly exaggerated, highly overrated.
It might be looking like that the market, the ball python reptile market overall, is heating back up. Or it might be because it's tax season and people have some extra money that they want to spend. Either way, we want to recap the Charlotte Repticon and maybe talk a little bit about where we think the market is going in the latter half of 2024. My name's Steven with Leviathan Snakes, and let's jump in it. Before we get into this week's video, we need to pick last week's winner for the RGI 2-day shed tests. So I've already put the link in here and I've loaded up the comments, so I'm gonna go ahead and hit pick a winner. And we have McClure Hatchery, which actually we saw them at the Charlotte Repticon last week. So if you see this video, if you see it, comment down below to let us know that you are claiming your prize, and we will get out your free 2-day shed test to you. Now, there is one more giveaway that we are going to be doing, and again, later on in this video, we'll talk about what comment you need to leave on this video down below. So anyways, let's get into it. So this was the second time that we had vended the Charlotte Repticon, and the last time that we vended was October of 2023, and that was also an absolutely amazing show. And when I say amazing show, I'm not saying like $20, $30, $50,000 like you might see at like the best Tinleys or Daytonas or something like that, but instead that people are, or at least we have been able to consistently move several low-level kind of pet grade animals all at once, and that volume can really, really make the show worth it, because not only are you able to bring in a good chunk of money right away, it is also a really, really good way in order to sell quite a bit of your animals all at once and have a significantly smaller number of mouths that you need to feed. For this specific show, it was right in the middle of kind of tax season, or maybe right at the start of tax season, and I do feel like that we could kind of see that in the situation. A lot of people were buying, and they weren't just buying from us, or maybe one other vendor. It seems pretty much that everybody was doing fairly well. And when Saturday ended up ending and Sunday started, because it's a 2-day show, a lot of the vendors were going around and buying from each other because they had done so well the day before. And I think that this is just generally a really, really good sign, because I do think that in order for the entire ball python breeding market to be really, really healthy, you want people at every single level in the breeding hobby doing well, so that way they can be buying something from the people above them, so that way they can keep leveling up their animals, keep leveling up their breeding projects. Now, beyond all of that, I feel like that there were some trends that I kind of noticed, and maybe trends are too strong of a word, some patterns that I noticed while the show was going on. And that was, there were a lot of people who were buying animals who were either just getting into breeding or were like in their very first season. And I think that this is a very, very good sign, because I think that a lot of times the like entry-level breeder market really, really drives the health of the entire hobby, because people who want to breed animals aren't just buying 1 or 2 animals, they're buying maybe dozens of animals, and maybe not necessarily all at once. But I think that the entry-level breeder segment is really, really important, and I felt like that there were several people at the Charlotte Repticon who fell into that entry-level breeder category. While I do think that there was a good solid segment of people who are getting into breeding coming to the show and buying animals, I also feel like that there was a very, very strong segment of people wanting to buy their pets. But it wasn't necessarily impulse buys. A lot of people came up to us and they talked about how they had been researching pets, they had been researching reptiles, they had the enclosure ready, and now they were ready to make the purchase. And I think that this is also a really, really good sign that a lot of people were well well informed as they were coming in to buy their animal. And again, beyond just simply the entry-level breeder, really the pet market is the foundation for the entire reptile breeding hobby. And the fact that there were so many people coming in, getting their very first pets, I think that this is just overall really, really good things that we noticed at this specific show. All that said, I want to talk about a little bit like why this might potentially be going on. And one is that while there is a higher than normal inflation in the economy overall, when you are looking at how the inflation has been for the last couple of years, it has slowed down tremendously. It's trending at right around a little bit more than 3%, which is still higher than what the Fed wants to target. But I think the fact that people are slightly, maybe just a little bit, getting used to the prices and they're not consistently skyrocketing, I think that this is helping out the kind of luxury kind of goods areas because people aren't as afraid that maybe 6 months from now, a year from now, that the grocery bill or their electric bill or anything like that is going to continually going up at such a pace that they can't buy something like a pet reptile. Beyond the macroeconomic outlook of pretty much the country and the entire world, I do think the fact that it's February and at least in America, this is roughly the time when people start getting their tax returns. I think that this has a huge impact on buying stuff like a ball python for a new breeder or for somebody who's wanting a pet. As people are able to get maybe a couple thousand extra dollars from their tax return back to them if they were interested in a reptile or if they were interested in a specific sneak to further their breeding projects, I feel like it is situations like this where they are going out and they're taking essentially the extra money, again, tax refund, so it's technically their money the whole time, but they take this extra money and they use it to go buy something like to treat themselves. And I think that this is part of one of the reasons why so many people were buying so quickly and so well at the show right now in the spring or at least February time. I'm very, very curious to see how March Tinley is going to go because I anticipate that a similar phenomenon will end up happening where people who've gotten their tax returns may potentially be holding out to spend the money until Tinley, and then we'll see how well Tinley goes. Overall, we ended up doing really, really well. So we didn't bring a whole lot of animals to the show. In fact, we actually brought some holdback animals just simply to put on the table for not for sale stuff in order to show them off and help fill up our displays a little bit. But overall, animals that we brought to sell, we ended up bringing 24 different animals. And of the 24 different animals, we ended up selling 18 of them. And we are really, really excited. I don't think that it was our best show we've ever done, but it was definitely up there. It was a really, really good show, and we are really, really stoked with the results from it. Especially seeing that we don't have any of our clutches from 2024 yet. They are just now starting to hatch out. We have a Bell clutch, we have a Super Asphalt clutch, we have some Sunset clutches that are coming up. So all of the animals that we were selling were the animals that had been produced last season, and we hadn't had a chance to take them to a local show just because we didn't have them at the time that we were vending shows last season. Quick interruption, we have the last shed test to give away this week for the RGI 2-day fast shed test giveaway, and we are so freaking excited about this. So huge congratulations to both people who have previously won. Again, this is the last shed test that we are going to be giving away, and we will announce it next week. So what you need to do in order to enter for the 2-day fast shed test giveaway is leave a comment down below that says RGI fast shed tests. And anybody who leaves this comment, again, next week, just like we've done in the last couple videos, we will draw the winner on the video and we will show it off and let you know if you've won. You do have to leave a comment in order to claim it, but overall, we are super, super excited. So we wish everybody the best of luck for the drawing, and if you haven't gotten a shed test with RGI yet, definitely head over to Morph Market or to Clutch in order to support Rare Genetics Incorporated and help them revolutionize the entire reptile breeding industry. So with all of this, my predictions are that for the next couple of months, maybe until roughly April timeframe, I think that the market is going to be really, really good. I think that as people are going to get their tax returns, they are probably going to buy animals that they've had their eye on for a while. And I think that this is going to be really, really good for the overall market because it's going to help move some of those animals. And as these animals are sold, the breeders who had those animals very likely are also going to go and invest further into their own business, thus continually driving down the supply. So in addition to the fact that I think that in the next couple of months, a lot of the animals are going to be sold that are currently available on Morph Market or at local shows or even at national level shows. I also think that a lot of breeders have pulled back from pairing for this current season, for 2024, and I don't think people are pairing as heavily as they had been in the previous years. So what I personally think might end up happening is as animals start hatching out in the summer and in the late fall, that there might not be nearly as many produced this year as there had been in the previous years. And depending on exactly how the demand holds, as long as the economy looks good and people aren't scared and uncertain, I think it might hit a situation where people are able to sell their animals significantly better, significantly faster now going pretty much from this point forward in 2024 than they had been during 2023, which for pretty much everybody who's watching this channel or has been tuned into the ball python market for the last couple of years, 2023 had been the slowest year of the last maybe 3 or 4 years in the ball python breeding hobby. But I personally think that there are some early signs right now in 2024 that 2024 might be slightly reversing the trend. I don't think it's going to get back to the COVID boom level times, but if it can be pretty consistently an easy way to move animals at reasonable prices to newer breeders, to people who are getting into the hobby through pets, I think that this is 100% critical for the health and success of the entire reptile breeding hobby. I think that the biggest danger to the ball python breeding hobby right now, or ball python breeding market, is really the overall economic uncertainty. So while inflation has cooled down quite a bit, we're still not 100% out of the woods. And depending on exactly what happens at an overall macroeconomic level, if layoffs start happening, if people lose their jobs, if all of these different things make people scared about the overall economic outlook, I 100% believe that one of the very first things that people are not going to be spending their money on are going to be reptiles and ball pythons, because they are luxury goods. You don't need them to survive. And if you're afraid that you might not be able to make your rent, make your electricity, make your food payments, or just buy food for your family, you're not in any way, shape, form looking to be investing more money into a reptile business. So I think that as long as the economy overall stays fairly chill on how it currently is, I think that we're going to do well. But if it gets more uncertain, especially as we near the election, I think that we might see a little bit more of a slowdown because of the overall economic uncertainty. I know that this one was a little bit of a quicker video, but we are super, super excited about how the entire Charlotte Repticon went, and we wanted to share it with you guys and get our thoughts, our kind of like barometer on where we feel like that the market is right now. Not quite enough to say that this is going to stick, but certainly within the next couple of months, as long as tax season is going on, I really do think that there's going to be an uptick in reptile sales, and I think that that is ultimately a good thing for the reptile hobbies. So we hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please don't forget to hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe, and we will see you next week.